before we take our break here, let's talk about the question. Is a high click-through rate good for quality score in Google Ads? Does having a high click-through rate help your quality score in Google Ads? What kind of information do we have to gauge that with?
Yeah, so there's a metric in Google Ads. If you're into quality score, this won't be news to you. But if you don't pay much attention to quality score, which honestly I'm in the same boat, I don't put a whole lot of weight on it. Neither does Jason. But
do you feel the need to explain yourself on that anymore? Are you worried about people hearing that, or are you more like, this is the way it is, I'm not going to defend that anymore?
There's always new
to dumb people that. I'm not going to say the new listeners who business owners are dumb. I'm going to say the people who come over to this industry from other related industries that get too caught up into metrics and think they know what they're doing and are going to shoot for the stars. Say it.
I'm always going to try and downplay people overemphasizing quality score, just like people would overemphasize anything they can't control. I mean, that is, I'm always going to, because I want to de-stress people and I want to help them kind of get to the reality.
But are we defending it anymore, or are we just confident enough to say, no, that's the way it is, that's what we believe in?
Oh, I'm not defending. No, okay. I see what you're saying. No, I'm not defending. No, that's the way it is.
Then I won't defend myself either. I'll be out there with you, naked on the internet, as we say.
Absolutely. Yeah. So expected click-through rate, straight from Google's mouth in the Google Help Docs, is expected click-through rate is the likelihood that your ad will be clicked when shown. Jason, that's such a simple definition, but you and I both know it's like way more complicated than that. They take in a lot of factors. But that's how they say.
That's all they're saying about it right now?
Yeah. That's what it says, how it's calculated. Quality score is calculated by expected click-through rate, which is the likelihood that your ad will be clicked when shown.
So as people who've been doing the Paid Search podcast for years, and I've probably been present and actually engaged on maybe 87% of them. We all go through rough times, Chris.
Right. I've been there. I'm probably at 70%.
Yeah. All right. Well, but the important thing is in the last 8 to 10 months, our ratio is close to 100% all the time. Yeah. And the numbers are going up. It's so funny. You think, how does a show that's been going in a super niche thing continue to grow? But like last month was near our best months ever after a multi-month dip. And it's so funny to see those dips coincide with rough times in our lives. So we just give a better product when
you do something this long. I mean, you can't always just be steady Freddy all the time.
Yeah, and if you want to give us a 5-star review, but then in your comments say really good most of the time. We're happy with that, we're looking,
which we need to get back to. We need to get people to keep rating the podcast so we can start reading them. So
yeah, the reviews have been funny lately because people are mixing them up with Q&As. And it's funny how specific, people. That's why I haven't been reading some of them recently, because they're very specific. And I'm like, well, I don't know, but whatever you guys want to say, whatever message.
What a great idea! Maybe we should do that. We'll answer your question, your Q&A question about Google Ads, if you leave a 5-star review along with the question,
or not.
That's a great idea. Think of all the reviews.
We'll talk after the show recording is over.
Okay,
and we'll dish out punishment after the show recording is over. Right. But what we were talking about, Chris, is expected click-through rate. And the reason I was talking about our history, our past together, is because memories, who knows? But I remember a day on the Paid Search podcast where we clicked the help in the account, and then it pulled up on the side of the account, and it said, it was that or the help docs or whatever, but it said expected click-through rate. And what we're talking about is a portion of quality score, expected click-through rate. It's one of the 3 major factors of quality score. It said something to the effect of, it's like you're saying, the expected likelihood that your ad will get clicked on. But it said based on your account and other accounts.
Yes.
Or accounts overall, or accounts like yours, or
industry
or
something
your
like
industry or all the accounts. And it
it talked about historical factors,
yeah.
competitors. Yeah, it went into all kinds of things. So the
But
question is, do we believe
clear
that that's changed, or do we believe that they changed the definition?
No, I don't think that's changed. I think expected click-through rate, I think, even though it doesn't say anymore, I think expected click-through rate is the expected click-through rate based on your account and what I'm going to call the industry. This keyword overall over time with Google. Why that makes sense to me is because Google doesn't want to, in my opinion, if I'm Google, I don't want to tax my system and introduce costs into my system to report data, to make it eligible to show up on different searches as often as other searches. If those searches, number one, don't end up getting clicked on ads a lot because they're just not ad kinds of searches. So I'll do this kind of search. Podcast definition. Maybe that has ads on it, but podcast software, that's going to have a lot more ads, and those ads are going to get clicked on a lot more. Pasta definition or define vague, the word vague, that's not going to have ads. And even if it had ads, people are not going to click on them on a super high rate at all. So I don't think they want to implement cost to their system, but I also think from a user quality experience perspective, if think about how many times you and I and our audience, how many times you all out there go to search and you don't see any ads because you're just getting information from Google. All I think about is money and family and like being a good podcast partner and health and fitness and
second,
all that.
Third,
but
fourth,
mostly all I think about is money. I think about money a lot. And so I'm thinking about stocks and different equations. And so I'm searching all the time. What is this times that and that times this and this minus that and that plus that? Getting numbers. And I never get ads because it wouldn't be a good user experience because I don't need ads. And so it's not a black and white thing. It's a gray thing. Some industries are set up a 100 out of 100 for ads. Ads deliver what people exactly want. Some industries are maybe more like 50-50. Some people want ads, some people don't. And I think that impacts expected click-through rate. And I think that impacts what Google is saying you need to pay based on a lower quality score to get your ads to show up there. You want to show up there, you're going to have to pay a little something. Maybe they also use it to gauge different costs for different industries. I don't know, but it's a cap on how much you can control your quality score with click-through rate. Now, that said, isn't a high click-through rate good for quality score, Chris? Even though part of that quality score is out of our control. I mean, it says it in the definition on the click-through rate page. A high click-through rate is a good indication that users find your ad and listings helpful and relevant. This is from click-through rate definition. Click-through rate also contributes to your keyword's expected click-through rate. Yeah. So it does help quality score. It's just a question of how much. That's my view.
So I'm going to throw a question out at you, Jason. I might have proof that expected CTR, I was just thinking about this, expected click-through rate, I might have proof that it has to do with competitors and things that are not related to you, okay? And so I'm going to ask you a question, yes or no. Have you ever added a keyword to a campaign before, and within the same day or within maybe even the same hour or definitely within the first week, do you immediately see that thing go from no quality score to 1 out of 10? Bam. Before you've even started getting traffic on it, like it maybe has a few impressions, maybe doesn't even have clicks.
Yes.
Straight to 1.
I put in keywords and they get horrible quality scores very quickly. Even on a whole campaign basis.
Right.
You put in a bunch of keywords for a certain industry.
And it hates all of them.
Managed IT, tough industry.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of low quality scores.
So what would that tell you about expected CTR? It would tell you that there are factors outside of the clicks that you haven't even gotten yet that would determine a poor expected CTR, and that would be the historical standing of that search on Google, just like you were talking about. People don't search this and interact. Your competitors have had bad experiences with this kind of search. Google's going to give you a bad expected CTR, therefore a bad quality score.
In agreement. I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you, but honestly, it does. when I see a bad quality score on an account, and it seems to be like kind of an industry thing. It's like, what did we do wrong? We have a good website, landing page experience. We have good ads, relevant ads. What's the third factor? Quality score is expected click-through rate, the third major one. Yeah. Well, come on, we just started. You don't even know our click-through rate, or it's running for a while and we actually have like a 5, 6, 7% click-through rate, but we still have low quality scores. I'm like, yeah, it must be an industry thing, and the expected click-through rate must be dampened by this industry based on data, or that's just the way Google's playing things on this one, or setting the table on this one. And to be honest with you, to answer the question of, yeah, but it doesn't matter because you should always focus on raising your click-through rate to get a higher quality score. No, it does dampen enthusiasm and motivation and hope of getting the quality score up based on a high click-through rate, because you kind of think, well, no, we already have a high click-through rate. We have a bad quality score. So what I do in that situation, Chris, is I kind of leave the click-through rate thing alone if it's already good, and I focus on bids, and I go, all right, this is going to be a tough industry, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be unprofitable. It could be profitable. They want to see a higher click-through rate. I'm going to get them a higher click-through rate. I'm going to raise those bids. And we kind of go into aggressive mode and see what absolute top 90+% percentage does to click-through rate and does to, I'm not going to say quality score, because then I stop looking at it. Like you, I don't look at it that often, but I look at the overall account performance and I go, okay, this one's it's kind of like an acceleration thing. If you are in one of those tough expected click-through rate spots, pedal to the metal is my answer. Good search terms, good ads, good landing page. All right, what else is in our control? Bids. And they're telling us, hey, you guys want to get it going on this kind of industry, you got to bid more than you're bidding. And so we get it going. And that's kind of my answer to that.